Hey, you. Yeah, you. Have you ever been slapped with a series of labels by yourself or others that control how you act, think, believe, and live your life? Well, join us in Label Breaker, finding your identity in a world of labels. You will learn what your core labels are, how you can get rid of your unwanted labels, how you can change your labels, and how to create labels that you choose for yourself that will help you live in joy and the success that God has intended for you to live. So come on, let's be label breakers. Hi, guys, and welcome to episode 7 of Label Breaker, Finding Your Identity in a World of Labels. Today, we are going to read chapter 5, A Splinter of Truth. In November of 2016, we elected Donald J. Trump as our 45th president. It was an election for the record books. In my lifetime, I cannot recall a more interesting or distressing election. Side note, we've now had the 2020 election. It was definitely more interesting and distressing. Back to the book. These events have had my heart in a state of turmoil, prayer, and reflection, especially concerning how I view labels and the power that they have on us. During no other election, again, 2020's in my lifetime, has a presidential candidate or the people who voted for him been slapped with more hurtful and hateful labels. Hold on. I'm not taking a side here, just stating some of the labels that Donald J. Trump and his supporters have been labeled with. I'm going to list them here and define them. I had to look up the meaning of some of them. I'm doing this just to make a point about labels that are given to us by others. I am using this election and President Trump because it is relevant to our lifetime, and I feel that it can offer some insight on labels and how they are applied and used. All definitions are from Google. Donald J. Trump and his supporters have been labeled as xenophobes. Dislike or prejudice against people from other countries. Misogynist, a person who dislikes, despises, or is strongly prejudiced against women. Islamophobe, dislike or prejudice against Islam or Muslims. Homophobe, dislike or prejudice against homosexual people. Racist, a person who believes that a particular race is superior. Sexist, prejudice or discrimination based on sex, usually against women. Behavior, conditions, or attitudes that foster stereotypes of social roles based on sex. Deplorable, deserving strong condemnation, shockingly bad in quality. Let's just look at these words in and of themselves. Try not to picture a certain group or an individual as you read these words and their definitions. How do they make you feel? Now, just for the sake of this demonstration of how labels affect us, apply these labels to yourself. Don't worry, we are definitely not going to leave them there. Did you do it? How did it make you feel? Did you feel empowered, likable, lovable, or like a positive contributing member of society? My guess is no, absolutely not. When I read or hear or apply these labels to myself, I feel sick, ugly, worthless, hopeless, embarrassed, scared, angry, ashamed, lost, negative, unlovable, and generally deplorable. People who apply these labels to Donald J. Trump and those who voted for him believe that they themselves are the exact opposite of these things, that they are loving and accepting of all communities of people, except maybe those who support Trump. I do not believe that by using these labels, they think they will bring about an environment of change, one that includes love and acceptance, but are merely trying to make a point and be hurtful and condemning in that point. I recently saw a meme that said, I love you if you are Muslim. I love you if you are black. I love you if you are Hispanic. I love you if you are gay. I love you if you are disabled. I love you if you are a victim of sexual assault. I love you if you are poor. I love you no matter what, and will fight for you no matter what. And if he, Donald Trump, builds a wall, I will raise my children to tear it down. At first, this sounds like a beautiful meme, filled with lots of love. The problem is, when we start listing the labels of those we love, it implies that there are also those with labels that we don't love. There is only one person who loves all unconditionally and freely, and that is Jesus Christ, the Son of God. He gives us an example of how to do this in 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8. From the Message translation, it reads, Love never gives up. Love cares more for others than for self. Love doesn't want what it doesn't have. Love doesn't strut, doesn't have a swelled head, doesn't force itself on others, isn't always me first, doesn't fly off the handle, doesn't keep score of the sins of others, doesn't revel when others grovel, takes pleasure in the flowering of the truth, puts up with anything, trusts God always looks for the best, never looks back, but keeps going to the end. Love never dies. Another verse that I'm striving to live by as I have worked on removing and replacing my labels is from 1 Peter 4:8. Again from the Message says, Most of all, love each other as if your life depended on it. Love makes up for practically everything. We have all heard the saying, love covers a multitude of sins. I believe that is what this verse is saying. It is not excusing the sin, simply saying that if we love each other freely and without judgment, then it can make up for anything. With all my heart, I am applying the label of love to myself as if my life depends on it, because I have come to realize that it does. How much I genuinely love myself and others as God loves me and describes love in the above passages has the greatest impact on my everyday and the lives of those with whom I interact. When we take a moment to look at the labels that have been applied to Donald J. Trump through the filter of love, we can see that they have been applied in the state of true fear. Many who use them say that they are literally fearful for their very lives and the lives of their children. The opposite of love is fear. These labels generate fear, hate, despair, ugliness, and hopelessness to bring healing to our country and ourselves. We need to stop applying labels to our president and ourselves that are generated out of fear. This is the core problem with labels that are given to you by others. They may have a sliver of truth to them when they are applied. There is no arguing that Donald J. Trump invited some negative labels by his inappropriate words and actions, but he and his voters did not apply these labels to themselves. They were given and are given in hate, fear, and without consent. And then they grow, fester, and explode into an ugly, hurtful mess. It's just like a splinter that gets infected. You become infected with a negative label. You then have two choices. You can leave it there and live with it, or you can fight it and do everything in your power to remove it. Like a splinter, you can either leave it there to fester and hurt, maybe eventually working its way out on its own, or you can get a pair of tweezers and with determination and maybe a little bit of pain, get that thing out, clean the wound, and apply a bandage. That bandage is a new label, one that covers up the wound left by that first label, that will protect and begin to heal your hurt, eventually showing no sign of the infection that was previously there. This brings us to the conclusion of the first part of the book. The second half of the book is where the action comes in and the healing begins. So get ready, and we will see you in episode 7.